Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tech Informist. This is episode 79, recorded on Wednesday, June the 10th, 2015. My name is Kevin Harvell. I am joined by Brad Whiteside. How are you doing today, Brad?
Pretty good. Still waking up.
Still waking up, a little sleepy. I understand. Today was one of those days that just did not want to wake up and get out of bed. I understand.
Yep.
So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. So, welcome everybody to the Tech Informist. You can watch live at thetechinformist.com/live on upcoming episodes, because if you're listening to this on the audio version, you've already missed this episode live. But every Monday and Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, come join us. Hop in the chat room. I'd like to welcome everybody to the chat room. I see JJ Hammond is in there, along with Raul, the MVP. Now, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing your last name right, Raul. Is it Adame? It's because it's Adame. So I just want to make sure. So if you could clarify that in the chat, I'd really appreciate it. So everybody, welcome Tech Informist. You can go to techinformist.com, and also we put up reviews of devices. Recently we reviewed the HTC Ray camera. I did that review, as well as Brad did a review of the ZTO, we'll just say
ZTE.
projector. ZTE.
Yes.
Projector from AT&T.
Yeah, if you guys camp or use your backyard a lot and you want to maybe watch something on some kind of TV or a projector, it is definitely the device for you. It is really cool. I'm not crazy about Android, but it has its perks sometimes, and that's definitely one of them. And I really enjoyed the device. So if you're on AT&T, check it out.
Yes, every company has their perks, whether Google, Apple, Microsoft. They're all good for somebody. Everything is good for something.
Exactly.
All right. So speaking of Apple, we're actually going to talk a little bit about some Apple stuff today as well, because WWDC, the main keynote, came out on Monday after we recorded that episode. So we kind of touched just briefly on some of the things we were going to expect. Now we can kind of talk about what Apple unveiled at their big keynote, which was, I guess it was about an hour or so long, or maybe it was a little bit longer. Actually, no, I think it went almost 2 hours, because I started it at noon Central Time, which would be 1 Eastern. And then we launched the MS Mobile Show, which, if you have not listened to the MS Mobile Show, if you like Microsoft services and devices, I definitely recommend you check it out.
Vernon E. L. Smith.
Yeah. Vernon E. L. Smith and David V. Kimball, the Win Fan, host the MS Mobile Show, and you can find that at msmobileshow.com.
Yeah, they do a great job, and I'm really glad that they're there and they can do that kind of thing, and I really enjoy listening to them because I don't get a chance to either hop in for a show or say anything to them to their face. I just want you guys to know you guys do a great job. So
yeah, typically when they're recording, you have just left for work or you're just starting work.
Yep.
So unfortunately, maybe one day we'll be able to work this out where you can come on and be a co-host of that show.
Oh yes, there will be a day.
Make a guest appearance. That's fun. They've definitely been asking, see Brad come on for an episode. I'm like, nah, we'll have to talk with him, see if we get that schedule straightened out. So they're asking about you. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick things off. Apple, iOS 9, for iPhone and also the iPad. There's going to be some new features that they're going to be implementing into this. Now they've released the developer preview. Developers can access it right now, and then later this month or into July is when the public beta will be available. They're actually following in the footsteps of what Microsoft and Google have been doing with Android and Windows 10 Mobile, about making it more easier for people to get access to these beta versions of the upcoming releases. So kudos to them. a lot, all the companies for making that available for people to try out. I'm currently trying out Android M on the Nexus 5 and also Windows Mobile 10, Windows 10 Mobile, however we want to pronounce that, on Lumia 1520. Yet still waiting on a new build on that, as we talked about last episode.
I understand that it's OS 10, but it just cannot help saying OS X. I'm sorry, it just rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah. But you know what? OS X kind of sounds like sex, so it's kind of. So well, I don't know. Yeah,
especially if you're groggy and sleepy and slur your words together.
Yeah. We'll talk about Mac OS here in just a little bit. First off, we're going to talk about iOS 9. Some of the things that they're actually doing with that is making it easier for Android users to switch to iPhone. Now, I believe it's a specific app, and it is just really all about making sure they want you to switch and just totally get rid of your Android device. I'm scrolling down through the main thing from Apple.com and looking at the various things. And one of the screens is once you move, there's a move to iOS app, and you can use that to wirelessly switch from your Android device to your new iOS device. Securely transfers your contacts, message history, camera photos and videos, web bookmarks, mail accounts, calendars, wallpaper, DRM-free songs and books, and help you rebuild your app library too. So, and any free apps that you use, things like Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, are suggested for download from the App Store. And then any paid apps, if they're available on both Android and iPhone, they'll be added to the iTunes wish list. So once it shows the transfer complete, looking at the image here, you got an iPhone on the right and an Android device on the left, which is the HTC One. Not sure which one this is because, well, they all kind of look alike. And it says transfer complete. Your data has been copied to your new iPhone or iPad. And then it gives you the option, hey, recycle your Android phone. You can recycle this Android phone for free at any Apple store. I'm not just going to give it away to be recycled for free. I would at least sell the device.
Well, if you think about this, in certain aspects of this, some consumers would just be like, oh, I can give it to the people at the store and they'll just get rid of it for me, because a lot of people just put it in their top drawer and they don't touch it for maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, and when it comes to that, if you've got a device that you're looking to sell and it's in still really good shape, get relatively top dollar for it. Sell it on Swappa.com.
Yeah, use Swappa, use Gazelle, use eBay. Just go out there and sell it for a few bucks. Yeah, I mean,
Swappa nor Gazelle, they're not sponsors of the show, but hey, Swappa, Gazelle, if you would like to be, hey, we're open to that. Simply email us, contact@thetechinformist.com. But if you want to get somewhat top dollar, use Gazelle. If you just need to get rid of it quick, Gazelle, because Gazelle's gonna lowball you and here you go. But all you got to do is just send it off. They'll send you the money after they take a look at it of what the value is, what they value it as, which is, it's kind of like trading in a car to the dealer. You're not going to get top dollar by trading your car into the car dealer. Just not going to happen. So, but anyway, you can do that. So some of the other functions of iOS 9 is actually going to be, which actually is a lot of Microsoft stuff, dual windows on iPad. So now you can have, 2 windows open, and actually it's available on like the Galaxy Note 4, where you can have multi-window and things like that.
And
so that's nice.
On the iPad, right? Or on the on OS? Okay. I'm just making sure we're still talking about the iPad.
Yeah, well, I think this is really just iOS 9, so it might, not 100% sure on this, if it is going to work on the iPhone as well.
No, as far as I know, it was just the iPad, and it has to be like X newer iPad. Otherwise, it just
probably has to be an iPad Air 2, I believe. iPad Air 2 like and newer.
Yeah. So
I've seen some people complaining that they have iPad Airs and they're not going to get these newer features.
I mean, as interesting as it would be to try to use two apps on a phone, I've always wondered if Microsoft has played around with that, which I'm sure they have. I don't know if it would be useful, but interesting though.
Yeah. And they're also bringing in picture. So, for example, if you're watching a video on YouTube or something like that, or something that's stored on your device, you long press the home button, and I believe it'll bring the video window down, kind of like minimizes it down in the corner of your screen where you can kind of drag that around to various portions. I'm like, well, that's nice. So, and the update, this is one of the biggest issues for people that were upgrading to iOS 8 last year, was how large the download was to be able to install this update. You know, people were saying, you know, I have to, you know, delete all these photos and all these songs and apps and stuff like that just so I can download to install this update. Well, that update for iOS 8 was 4.58 gigabytes. Now, the iOS 9 update is only going to be 1.3 gigabytes is what they're estimating. So that should make that a little bit easier of an experience. And one of the other things that really caught my eye, you know, I'm a big battery life person, is their claims of getting a minimum of 1 hour extra battery life and up to 3 hours of extra battery life on your existing devices. This is obviously going to remain to be seen, and whether or not this is just like a, you know, a power saver mode, which I never use power saver. I just don't. So that,
well, either way, that's impressive when, you know, you can take an OS or whatever, and you can iterate on it and make it better and more power efficient. And we are starting to see Microsoft do that with all of the Windows 10 stuff. You know, I mean, Windows has always been pretty power efficient, especially when it comes to the mobile side. I feel like they have some of the best battery management of the mobile space, which is unfortunate because there's not very many people who have them. For example, my LG Lancet, it only has a battery about the size of the Lumia 920, and it doesn't not only last all day, me streaming podcasts and flipping around on it, but it only goes down to like 84%. Like, it is really solid on battery life, and I think some of that has to do with it running Windows. But I mean, you know, getting back to Apple, you know, I just feel like all the new changes they're making, a lot of it is just iterating, and they're finally starting to dial in the OS and, you know, make it better in the best way they can. So,
yeah, just optimizations. Even Google's doing that with Android.
That's the word I'm looking for, optimization.
Yeah, I mean, Google's claiming that Android M is going to be a little bit better optimized for improved battery life, because we all remember back when they were announcing Android L, you know, even before that, they were talking about Project Volta, which was supposed to help improve battery life. And
that's
when these newer devices were coming out, people were like, I'm not seeing this. Where's Project Volta and all the stuff that you guys talked about?
Yeah, I'm a little leery of when Google says that, because they haven't shown that yet per se. Like you said, Android L came out, and that was supposed to be the power management one, but nothing for the most part seemed to change. I'm sure it got a little better, but I don't know that for sure, because I have not used anything under Android L, so I can't say that for sure. In that regard, though, I am a little leery when they say it, because they said it once, but it didn't happen. So I want to see a physical proof of it first.
Right. And just a couple more little things I want to throw out there about iOS 9. Improved security. So they're moving to 6-digit passcodes. Gone are the 4-digit passcodes. But, you know, if you're already using Touch ID, which I believe all devices,
should be, because it's easy and it just works.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. I wish all devices, whether it was Apple or Android or even Microsoft, would implement this technology, because it is so much better and it works so well. Sorry, Samsung, but yeah, your fingerprint stuff, no, it don't work as well. And then some 2-factor authentication. obviously. They're going to really implement that a little bit stronger as well. One of the last things about Apple Pay, we'll just briefly touch on this. Of course, they had to talk about Apple Pay because apparently, Apple invented how to do wireless payments and things like that since Google had Google Wallet, but now they're pretty much not getting rid of Google Wallet, but they're making it, rebranding it into Android Pay, which they announced officially at Google I/O a couple weeks ago, is that you'll be able to use department store reward cards, things like that. So if you got like a reward card for Lowe's or something like that, you'll be able to put that in there, and also store credit cards. You'll be able to use that with Apple Pay as well. So we'll go ahead and move on to OS X El Capitan.
That cracks me up. Like him or love him, or like him or hate him, rather. Love him or hate him. That's what I'm looking for. I think they have a little bit of humor behind them since Steve Jobs left. They're getting a little more open and a little more fun about things, and I'm okay with that.
I guess because man, just the El Capitan, I'm like, that does nothing for me. It's like fingernails on the chalkboard to me. I'm one of those people. I guess it's like neurotic or something like that, where certain sounds and certain words, when I hear them, I'm like, oh gosh, why is that word in the English language?
JJ sour apples.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh yeah. So El Capitan. So some of the things, when they were going through the kind of the demo of this next version, which I believe was it like 10.44 or something? I don't even remember the exact version number.
I thought it was 10.11.
It could very well be. I know that the last two digits were the same.
Okay. Anyways, what have they changed in El Capitan?
Well, they're actually, implementing a lot of Windows features here.
They are, which I'm completely ignorant to Mac OS at all. And I thought that they already had some of these things. So when they announced them, I'm like, oh.
You weren't already doing that?
I'm confused. I thought you were announcing new things. Wait, they didn't have this before. Oh, okay. Understandable. So yeah, right. So this was a little bit of a shocker to me, because once again, I'm completely ignorant to Mac OS because we just don't have one. And so yeah, let's talk about the multitasking stuff and the snap feature. And
yeah, just real quick in the chat, Daryl says El Capitan Kangaroo. And it is .11.
Catching up on Windows 8.1.
Yeah. So, the first thing whenever you go to apple.com/OSX/El Capitan-preview is split view. So talking about focusing on two things at once. Now, on Mac OS, as currently it is, I'm kind of like using a split view, but you've got to like resize the windows and stuff like that. Here, I guess they're going to make it a little bit more easier to do with viewing multiple things at one time. And let's see, implementing something called mission control. You've never been so good at space management. So with a single swipe on the trackpad, or whenever, because you get that separate, if you've got like an iMac, you can get the separate pad for kind of like this on the MacBook Pros to use as well for the mouse kind of stuff. So with a single swipe, you can arrange everything that is open, whether it's like email, calendar, Safari browser, or the documents program, stuff like that. You just be able to see all that stuff without any issues. Moving on to Spotlight. When I was looking at Spotlight, I was so reminded of how they are doing with what Microsoft is doing and what Joe Belfiore was showing off with Cortana and the integration, how deep it is getting into Windows 10. with being able to search not only a search term within like a web search or looking for a specific file on there, but I mean, you can like really dig down into not just file titles, but file contents. For example, a document, you type in a specific search term, it is actually going to bring up those documents that's including all that stuff. So just a lot more implementation with the OS, which is good. I'm glad to see that they're putting that in there.
So the one thing about the new search stuff that bothers me is why the heck haven't they put Siri on there? You know, I'm
really surprised.
I am
really surprised
too.
They didn't do that.
Like, everyone knows who Siri is, whether you like her or don't, which most of the people in the chat do not, and that's okay, because I'm more of a Cortana person. But, you know, she is important to that, you know, area and OS, and for them not to include her is a little puzzling to me, because at this point, like, you know, they're starting to really fix the OS and, you know, make it better, and I just still cannot grasp why they haven't put Siri there, because even older generation knows what to do with Siri. They ask her questions and things like that. So I feel like if you put that on the desktop versus what's it called right now? Spotlight, right?
Spotlight, yes.
Yeah, I mean, versus that, I mean, Spotlight sounds a little more confusing. It's like, wait, what is that? I mean, if it was Siri, though, it's like, oh, I can search things. So I'm just really confused and puzzled as to why that's not there yet. I mean, what do you think of that, Kevin? Do you think there's a reason behind that? Or, I mean, obviously there is, because they're, you know, one of the richest companies in the world. They are the richest company in the world, but I mean,
I'm very surprised that they did not implement that into this version. The only thing that I can think of is that maybe they will implement that into, I mean, I don't know if they're going to do like an OS, you know, 11,
OS
if
11
it's just going to be,
or if they'll just do iterations.
Yeah, if they're just doing iterations. I'm really surprised that they didn't.
Yeah, I am very surprised. And I mean, I understand that the one Windows thing, you know, that works for Microsoft, and maybe it doesn't work for Apple, but it's just one of those areas where that should work for them. Like, it should work really good for them. But
yeah,
Raul says Google now.
Yeah. And one of the really cool things that I did see Apple show off during this was the fact that, you know, we've all been there. We've gone to websites and you just open a website and then, you know, you're reading through and all of a sudden you start hearing some music or a video is playing and you don't know where it was because you didn't click on a video to start it playing. It just auto started playing from the website. And within Safari, I guess it's going to be implemented into Safari. Yes, Safari. So you'll be able to quickly look up at your tabs that you have open and find that tab that has something playing. It'll show like a little speaker icon, and you can click on that and mute it like immediately instead of having to scroll down and pause the video or something like that. That I was like, that was really awesome compared to some of the stuff that, you know, kind of I'd seen. And
yeah,
I mean,
so
to me, that's just so aggravating.
The way Paul Thurrott was making it sound is they didn't highlight certain things that they should have. Like they spent maybe too much time on. Have we talked about Apple Music yet?
No, that was actually coming up, but we can go ahead and move into that as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Apple Music, this is very interesting to me. And you, like Paul said, Apple understands Google as a threat to their business, not like, you know, anything other than that. Like they understand that, you know, Google is one of the biggest platforms right now, and there's no getting around that. And that's why this new Apple Music service will be on Android, which blows my mind because I never thought in a million years that they would put something like this on Android or Windows or anywhere else, you know. I mean, it was crazy when they put iTunes on, you know, PCs, but at that time they had to, because no one had MacBooks, you know, no one was super crazy about Apple the way they are now. I mean, it's a different world now. So, I mean, they don't have to put these other platforms in other places necessarily, but I think they're trying to get a one up on Android and try to pull some people in gradually, just like Microsoft is with their apps. You know, they put an app out there and hope it, you know, grabs your attention, hope you get invested, and maybe you'll check out a different app from them and keep going, and maybe eventually you might just jump on the system altogether. So I feel like that is a little bit of this on Android.
Yeah. I mean, I was happy to see that it's going to be available on all 3 platforms, but was it going to be something I'm going to use? I mean, $9.99 a month for a single user, or up to 6 users in a family for $15 a month.
So when you say
that is a good price.
When you say all 3 platforms, you're saying Windows too?
I believe that they did say Windows Phone for that. I don't think it's just Android.
Really? I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm sure I'll get corrected in
the chat. Once they catch up with us. Yeah. But no, either way, even if it's just Android, my mind is still blown because Apple doesn't share their stuff. It's like the kid is like reaching out with arms across the table, grabbing all the candy he can because it's all his.
Right.
But like, things have changed, and you can definitely tell since Steve Jobs has left. And you know, for better or for worse, I like where they're going with this. I wish that I could get iTunes on my Windows phone. I said it. I know it's terrible, whatever, but it's where all my music is. You know, I'm so heavily invested in iTunes. iTunes was out there before anything else. Therefore, I've got, you know, 1 foot in already, and it really doesn't bother me. They have a lot of good music to choose from. It's where you can get pretty much everything. So.
It's the only place where you can really buy Beatles digitally, I believe. So
right,
for me, that's good. But I've already got everything that they've put out.
For you Taylor Swift people, no, I'm just kidding. You can only buy her album on there. You know, there are certain people that it's exclusive to iTunes. You don't really get that really much anywhere else as of right now. Right. So,
and just real quick, back to Mac OS X is the Swift programming language is now getting ready to go open source. So for developers, that's pretty good news. And again, that's another one of those surprises. Didn't really see Apple doing this, but since I'm not a developer, I won't go in that too much. But yeah, so Swift, I believe it's going to start with Swift 2 is going to be going open source. So I don't know if there's anything more about Apple Music that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I mean, that was kind of the biggest thing really, was that they're not only having on you know, the iPhone, which but that it is going cross-platform, and I would love to see them do more of this with some of their other stuff. Now, Apple's not super great about making certain apps, like that note-taking app that I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody uses that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if you're going to get a note-taking app, you're going to use either one of 2, Evernote or OneNote. And that's just it. Like, those are the best out there. So.
Yeah, since you can get OneNote pretty much everywhere and Evernote pretty much everywhere, there's almost kind of no need.
You can get OneNote on the watch, I think. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can get it on the Apple Watch. I don't know if you can get any other note-taking service on the Apple Watch. That speaks volumes.
I'm sure Evernote's got some implementation on that. Yeah, you would think. I mean, Evernote's pretty big, and
if not, they will. We'll just put it that way.
All right, so let's get into some Microsoft news. We're going to change up the order of stories a little bit. Let's see. We'll go ahead and kick off with Microsoft announcing the 1 terabyte Xbox One console, new controller, and wireless adapter for Windows.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to shove that all in one thing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just all integrates here.
So one of these was a rumor for E3. Turns out that rumor was right, which I almost guaranteed that it would have been, because they just need that extra space. It should have been 1 terabyte from launch, but I think they were just trying to make it just that little bit cheaper, because things were still a little tight at launch, and now that it's 2 years later, 1 terabyte makes sense, and it'll be $400, I believe, for the 1 terabyte
Correct.
model, and then
and available on June 16th.
Yeah, so next week, which is fantastic. If you don't have an Xbox One, you should definitely check them out, because there are some great stuff coming down the pipeline. I mean, if you've ever had a 360 before, you will definitely enjoy yourself. I mean, obviously it works a little different, but once again, with Windows 10 coming up, they're kind of marrying the two, and it's going to be a great experience. For instance, the Xbox One adapter for the PC to use your controller. Here, let me just pull that up. But you'll be able to just basically plug and play. Plug this into your PC, and oops.
Yeah, it comes up with a nice little wireless connection, $25. So
yeah, and that's actually about the price I was expecting. And they even have a bundle where you can buy a controller and the adapter for $80, which the controller is usually $60. So it's kind of like a $5 discount. So if you don't have the controller yet, it makes sense. And if you are a PC gamer and maybe you want to try out the Xbox One controller or whatever, this
and
makes
just
more
keep in
sense.
mind too that this will only work with Xbox One controllers, not Xbox 360 controllers.
And also keep in mind, I believe this only works with Windows 10. So, and it says starting this fall, so it's not coming out just yet. So it'll be in the fall, which that leads me to believe that the update for the Xbox will be in the fall with Windows 10 on it. All that compiled together, you can run a game on your Xbox to your PC. You can stream it in a way. And while you're playing a game on your PC, your significant other, friend, relative, whatever, can watch TV while you play a game. All, different screens, same console though, which I know for a fact I will be using a lot of, which is why I actually, Kevin, I did it. I went ahead and reserved my copy of Windows 10 for better or for worse. I'm ready.
Good man. Good
I'm
man.
diving in. Well, and part of that is because of what Paul Thurrott wrote the other day, and it's, should I upgrade, should I not? And when I did 8.1, it was like, oh, it's just 8.1, it's just a little version, nothing's going to go wrong. And I mean, it didn't. When I upgraded to 8.1, nothing went wrong. And in a way, Windows 10 is kind of 8.2. Obviously,
in a way.
Yeah, obviously from a perspective of everything working, compatibility perspective, it is like 8.2. Other than that, it's definitely Windows 10. But so when you do upgrade, all your stuff should work. I can't say it will, because weird things happen with PCs.
Yeah.
But it should work, and everything will be happy and merry, and cool things will happen with my Xbox and my computer. So
yeah, if you've got like a Dell or an HP desktop computer, you're pretty much not likely to have any issues. Now, if you've got a custom built PC,
like this,
that's where you that's where you might run into an issue, but
yeah,
I think chances are pretty slim right now, because more and more companies are putting out just like universal style drivers and stuff like that, where it might not have came with that particular, it's just kind of like a generic driver.
Well, and I'll just have to make sure that I check Asus's website, because they're very good about the support for their gamers and their PC enthusiasts. And I'll most of my stuff in my computer is Asus, so I'll just check for my graphics card and my motherboard. And I mean, if they've got drivers out, I'll download them and get them all ready to go. And July 29th rolls around, I think I might dive into it right away. So
yeah. So just real quick back to the Xbox One. So the 1 terabyte is 400, and the 500 gigabyte is going to stay at 350.
Yeah, that's
and I don't know if
so. That's awesome.
So I don't know if that's one of the complaints that you've had kind of with your Xbox One, is that it's kind of like a shiny finish. Well, the new one is going to have a nice matte finish.
I love the shiny. I know it shows more dirt, but I love it. It's so shiny and pretty. But
so shiny.
They've done this before. For when they did the first Xbox 360 Slim, it was shiny, and I still have that first iteration of the new Xbox 360 rather, and then they went back to matte again. And I don't know why they always do this. They go shiny and then they go back to matte. And I personally like the shiny stuff. Dust or not, it's going to be there, and if it's going to be there, it might as well just be shiny anyway. So shiny dust. But
right.
Yeah, super cool that these things are coming out, and one of the rumors definitely confirmed for E3 area. So, what we got next?
Talk about Halo 5 and Guardians.
Yeah, so this is definitely something Microsoft doesn't do. For Halo 5 Guardians, the online co-op, you will not need Xbox Live. That blew my mind, because it's Halo 5. You figure they could do literally anything with this and people will bend to their will, but they're not. They're kind of easing into this and like, hey, we understand you want to play with your friends, but if you don't have gold, it's okay. You can still play with your friends on co-op, and that's really cool. Like, I'm really glad they decided to do at least that. That's a big change from old Microsoft, because old Microsoft would have nothing to do with that story. If you don't if you're not a gamer, so Xbox Live or Xbox Gold is like a subscription service that you pay so you can play online, basically. And if you don't have it, normally you can't play most games online unless it's a free-to-play game. I think they changed that. But with Gold, I can actually, jump on and play Call of Duty online with my friends, Destiny especially. A lot of these games are more and more and more online. So,
and they also give you free games each month.
Right, free games and discounts. So, like these games with Gold for free, and then there's I forget what the other one is, but there's a discount one.
Which is another reason why you need a terabyte hard drive, because they're giving you these digital games. So
right, exactly. I think I just accidentally.
The more storage you get, the better.
Oh no, we're good. Or not. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Microsoft Surface Hub. There's been more information coming out on that. Pre-orders are going to be starting very soon, and I believe it's going to cost about $7,000. Now, the Surface Hub, for those that don't remember, back at kind of like the January event, they showed off this big, what looked like TV hanging on the wall, and most people were not realizing that was an entire new device, not just a stock display, just there to show things.
That was awesome that they did that, by the way.
And then they start showing off all the different things that it can do. So what the really neat thing is, it's going to be made actually here in the United States.
What?
They've opened up a factory in Wilsonville, Oregon, just outside of Portland, to assemble the Surface Hub PCs, and they will begin shipping sometime in September.
That is awesome. I did not know this. That is really cool.
Some of this information was just coming out today, actually. It says, just a quote here, Microsoft said the factory, covering about 4 acres with 18 docking bays for delivery trucks, now has a combined engineering and manufacturing staff of a couple hundred people, about 7 times that of the original Perceptive Pixel team. And although many components in the product will come from overseas, the Surface Hub will be stamped with the phrase "manufactured in Portland, Oregon, USA."
That's pretty cool. Real quick, just to pick back up on that Gold thing, it's deals with Gold where you get special discounts on games that are out and whatnot. So anyway, back to the Surface Hub. That's so really cool that.
Business.
Go ahead.
I was just throwing out there that if you're a business owner, and you've got about $7,000 laying around, you can put one of these in your big conference room.
Well, and for a business, I don't want to say, but I do, like, $7,000's not bank breaking per se for most businesses that would utilize this. I know for, like, let's say a body shop, it's not really feasible for us to get something like this and use this at all. But for, like, let's say Edward Jones, an investment group, this definitely makes sense. And I would definitely see them use something like this.
Yeah, so I mean, there's different price models. The 55-inch model is $7,000, and you can get one all the way up to 84 inches, and that'll run you about about 20,000.
Oh my goodness! Can I get a car?
So
with that?
Car, Surface Hub.
Yeah, I don't know.
Decisions,
Oh my goodness! Well, 84 inches. That's pretty ginormous, though.
Yeah, that's a huge display.
I mean,
and 4K resolution.
And that's just exactly it. It's the 4K resolution, with all this technology in it. Like, it's basically a computer / TV with 84 inches. It's wow. Just wow.
Very impressive.
Indeed.
So moving on to the last thing I believe that is in the list is the first images have been taken by Bill Nye's light sail spacecraft.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so looking at it in the little story from The Verge talking about this, it looks like it's pointing towards the sun. That's what it looks like, real nice and bright. So looks pretty neat. Bill Nye tweeted it out on the 9th of June. This just in, a complete image of light sail in space, the future space travel.
That's awesome. I'm really excited that they're doing this, that they, could get the money from the planetarium and, launch something of this scale. And then next year, they're going to iterate on everything they learned this year and launch a bigger project and actually do something with that project. So Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson obviously are working together on this, but I'm super happy to see that these guys are, they're really trying to invigorate the whole space travel thing again and try to get us exploring again like we used to, because we're not anymore. And I think that's going to start to change, because I don't know if you noticed this, Kevin. I'm starting to see a lot more like sci-fi movies that are all about like exploration, and that new one, The Martian, with oh goodness, I can't even think of his name. Matt Damon.
Yes,
that's coming out very soon. I want to see that. That looks like it's right up my alley. It's like Interstellar Part 2 or something like that. It's just, and it's funny because he's actually in Interstellar as well. And I think another person that's in that movie is also in Interstellar, which I find kind of funny. But I mean, they like the space roles, so hey, keep it going. But I definitely want to see that movie. If you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out.
Yeah, it is really interesting that most of our major space travel, like going to the moon, we did that in the late 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't been back to the moon since.
Well, and if you think about it, and I think the argument for people is like, oh, well, we're fighting wars and we're doing this, we're doing that. But if you think about it, we were during the Vietnam War, like a really bloody time, and we were during
very controversial, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were during the Cold War, like. Everybody thought that nuclear missiles were going off at any point, so we needed to be super careful about what we did. But we still went to space. Like, oh my goodness, kitty.
Cat time.
Yep, cat time, whether you want it or not. But so that is just super cool. I really hope that this once again reinvigorates everybody and gets people thinking about space travel and the things that we used to do, because I feel like that drives innovation, and we need that right now.
Right. Well, yeah, we definitely do. So that wraps up the news of the day. So go ahead and move into app and entertainment picks. I'll go ahead and let you talk about what your submissions are.
All right, so I have a weird one because my fiance is weird, and that's why I like her. Yeah, so Alan Smithy's Coffin is an entertainment podcast. They mostly talk about movies and shows, and they know a thing or two about them, which is kind of why they started this. It's on SoundCloud. And the reason they came up with the Alan Smithy's Coffin is because they kind of have this dark sense of humor, which I sort of do as well. And Alan Smithy, the name, they used to use that name in very old movies, and like when somebody didn't want to use their real name, they would use Alan Smithy. So that's why they named it Alan Smithy's Coffin, because they were kind of being a little, a nod to the olden days of using that name / the coffin part, which is the dark humor part. So that's them in a nutshell. But they have 2 episodes up right now. They just recorded their 3rd, and Justin is a good friend of ours, and Sarah, which is kind of the, I guess, host or co-host. I'm not sure, really sure. They're kind of both hosts. I don't know if there's a co-host, but yeah. I'm really enjoying it so far. They're still trying to find their groove and their structure, but I think they have something going. So if you're curious, want something else to listen to, they're on SoundCloud right now. I don't know if they'll move to anywhere else for the time being, but they're definitely on SoundCloud. So download that app, sign in with Google account or whatever, and I think you can sign in with Facebook too. But you can download that and check that out.
Yeah, I listened to the first episode, and that actually, for a first release, I thought it was very good. So I know being in podcasting and having come a long way and being a host and stuff like that, it takes some time to get your groove and really get used to and comfortable actually recording.
Yeah,
it's a total different experience.
And they had a few recording hiccups with the 2nd episode. Like, I think a power saver mode kept coming on the computer, so it would skip a word for a second, and he tried to edit it, the best way he could, and it turned out all right. You hear the hiccups, but if you're not looking for them, you might not even notice. But the 2nd episode, they talk a little bit about Mad Max, which was an amazing movie, and they tend to agree with me on that. So cool stuff. And the other thing, it's not really an app, it's more of something that it's like a one-off series that they're doing on IGN, and it's called IGN History of Awesome. So they started at 1977, the year Star Wars came out, and they're going all the way up to 2015. And every week on Wednesday, today, they release a new year. So I think today is 1982.
So but they long.
Yeah. So they. So let's see. I'll go to 1981 real quick. They'll show what was big. Like, they show, MTV was huge, Donkey Kong was huge, Raider of the Lost Ark was huge. They show, oh shoot. Pause. There we go. All right. So, and then, they grab the highest grossing films, put them in the top 10, most popular songs, most popular TV shows, books, baby names, and then they give a poll of all this stuff, what was the most influential of your life? And you can vote on that. And they have a little video series where you can watch them actually talk about that particular era. But I think this is really cool. It's super nostalgic. Obviously, none of this really makes too much sense for me until you get to 88. So we have a little ways to go still. But it's really interesting to go back and look at this, even if you weren't born until then, because there are certain things that carry over. For instance, Mad Max, that's happening right now, but it also was a thing back then. So definitely check out IGN Presents The History of Awesome.
Cool. All right, I'll give a quick weekly poll question update about: might Elon Musk be our generation's Thomas Edison or Henry Ford? we've had some pretty good response. And as of right now, it sits at 41% of people say yes, 34% of people have voted close but not yet, and 24% of people say no.
In a way, I sort of agree with the close but not yet, but I know he's going to come out with more. I know he's going to keep driving innovation, and that's why I chose yes. I just know it's going to happen. He's just one of those guys that just can't sit still. You know, he's constantly coming up with things and thinking of things. And whether certain things stick or happen and certain things don't, I mean, I'm sure Edison ran into problems like that, and Henry Ford as well. Certain things worked, certain things didn't. And the ones that really did work, you know, changed our lives forever. And I feel like he's getting ready to do that with the batteries for your house. That might change our lives forever. We all might have batteries in our house at some point.
Yeah. And so not just the kind that are in your remote control.
Yeah. And then in regards to Hyperloop, we might have something better than a bullet train in the United States. You know, it might be 20, 30 years off, but it's possible. Yeah. So
if it could happen in my lifetime, so I can at least ride it once, it's all that matters.
I mean, can you imagine this Hyperloop's supposed to go 2,000 miles an hour? Like,
that's pretty crazy.
You can go from New York to San Francisco in 2 hours. That's mind-boggling. Like, or a little bit less than 2 hours, but that's nuts. So
yeah, that is really crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, planes. Why use a plane when you can use this? This would be way more cost-effective than a plane, and safer. I mean, generally safer. So
yeah, pretty much.
Obviously, I think planes would still be around for a while because, you know, things don't just happen overnight. It's like, you know, with cars changing from gasoline to electric. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be quite a while. So anyway.
And speaking of electric cars, I saw a BMW, I believe it's the i8, the electric looking like sports car yesterday.
Oh, nice. Man.
Those things are so nice looking. I've seen a couple of them when I was at CES. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Some people think they're really ugly.
See one here. No, I think it was awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I think they look like a Hot Wheels car that I'd buy when I was a kid. Like, they look really cool.
Yeah, it was white, and it looked really nice.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah. So that pretty much does it for this episode of the Tech Informist. If you have any feedback, comments, or suggestions, please let us know, whether it's Twitter or via email, contact@thetechinformist.com. We want to hear from you. Whether you
real
like
quick,
do it or don't like it. Let us know.
Before we end, Raul says Elon Musk is our Tony Stark. I totally agree with that.
That's a great comparison, Raul. I like that comparison.
But and I know he does too. He always hears that, and he's okay with that. I just want to see him walk out on stage in an Iron Man suit one time, just once. That'd be awesome. So, but yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Especially you guys in the chat room. We definitely had a good conversation going.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out to Rusty Wells, who he likes to comment mostly on our YouTube videos of the playback of the video portion of the episode. Cool. He, gives us little comments, and he really appreciated the honest opinions and thoughts. Not only did I kind of like get spurned on by him to get a Nexus 5 so I could be trying out Android M, but he appreciated me going through that steps. Just one person saying that, and then me doing that. So
yeah,
I do appreciate it, and that's just little things that
I'll have to check that out. I did not know that.
Yeah, a few. We don't get a whole lot of comments, but we do get a few here and there on the YouTube videos, which is good. I mean, there's actually a lot of people that do watch the replay, so I do appreciate everybody that watches and listens. One last thing, I want to throw out a shameless self-plug. If you're in the St. Louis area and you're interested in technology, I do the STL Tech Talk podcast, and those are more live in-person interviews, so you won't be able to watch us record anything live. Really been working on the production value of the editing and changing around the theme. So if you have not listened to an episode, just check it out and give me some feedback on what you think of the music I put together for the intro and outro of that show.
Yeah, just real quick, the last 3 episodes that you just did with the Venture Cafe, that was really cool, because I mean, it wasn't necessarily technology per se, but in a way it is, because there are certain things that those people did that technology is heavily involved in their work. So that was a really cool kind of little mini series, if you will, that you had going. So
yeah, it was really fun to do that. So I did appreciate the opportunity and hope to get a chance to do it again, whether it's later this month or next month. So, all right. That pretty much does it. I'm Kevin Harvell. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Harvell, and you can find Brad Whiteside on Twitter at @holy_shadows. Brad, you got any last words for the episode?
Nope. Take us home.
All right. Well, everybody, we will see you again on Monday, as we have switched again. Just quick reminder, we've switched to just Mondays and Wednesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time. And if you're interested in being a supporter and or sponsor of the show, whether it's a business or just an individual supporter, sponsors and supporters help make the show possible. Please visit thetechinformist.com/advertise. I believe that's the actual link. If not, it's up in the top right corner of the website. So we do, again, appreciate everybody. And until next time, consider yourself informed. We're out.
See ya.